All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Dead Pundits Society. Today, I'm joined as usual by Jake, and we have a few other guests. So, Alessandro, you met from the last podcast. If you want to quickly say hi to the
Hi
fans.
guys, happy
And
to be
then,
back.
oh, sorry. And then today, we're joined by another guest, first time on the podcast, Dior. So, he'll introduce himself, but he's a friend of Jake's. Very happy to have you on, Dior.
Hey guys, I'm here for a bit more of a La Liga flair as a Barcelona fan.
Perfect. So today we're going to do something a bit different. We're going to look at some hot takes that each of us have and kind of discuss and see whether we agree or whether they're very contentious. So Jake is going to read them out. And first, we're going to try and figure out who the hot take comes from. And then after that, we'll have a brief debate about it. So.
All right, guys. Ultimately, we decided not to do the guessing game as Pablo and I are already familiar with everyone's takes, so it was a little counterproductive. So we're gonna go one by one, and the person kicking us off is Alessandro. So Alessandro, how about you hit us with your hot take?
Yeah, so my hot take is that I think mixed gender tournaments, so male and female, should replace some of the smaller international competitions. For example, the Nations League, and in my opinion, even stuff like the FIFA World Cup for clubs, like the Club World Cup. I realize this is could be a bit contentious. I mean, there's a lot of talk about the disparity in women's and men's football, but I think there are other sports where it has been successful. For example, if you think of athletics, or a lot of like the mixed relays. I think also in tennis there are mixed doubles. So I think there's definitely, the possibility to explore it more. It would also kind of pave the way forward for women's football, and I think it would also generate more interest. So I think there is obviously physical disparity of men are stronger than women, and so that might be during the game a bit of an issue. But I think overall, I think it's definitely something that could be interesting to see in football. I don't know, what do you guys think? What's your hot, well, no, what's your first impression?
What
So
what sorry, would it be like what format would it be? Would it be a competition or would it just be like exhibitions? Like what are you envisioning with that?
No, I mean, in my mind, it's be like a dedicated tournament. I don't know, I don't know, for example, I don't know whether to do it in a club form or an international form, but it would be like a tournament, in all sense and purposes. So
Okay.
having like out rounds and I don't know, call it like the mixed international tournament, something, I don't know, but
Yeah, it could be interesting for like the
Yeah.
national team. What I see is like Spain fucking cooking with Bonmati, with
Yeah.
Puteas, and then you have like Lamin and everyone else. Like it's oh
Yeah, I mean Spain would be everyone for sure. But what would how would it be done, right? Because in a football team you have 11 players. Would you have like five
yeah,
men and six women? Or, like would the goalie be a man or a woman? Because like that changes a lot, right? Like
yeah, no.
If Lamine Yamal is like shooting like to 5'6" goalkeeper from Japan. I mean, no offense,
yeah.
but I mean it
uh,
But
changes a little bit, right? Like
just to add on to that before you respond, when I heard this take and when I read this take, I don't like inherently think it's a crazy thing to propose. I just have so many questions. Like
yeah.
what Pablo's saying, how do you decide how many people play? How do you convince the players to like participate in this tournament? And number one, and the other thing is how does the fouling system work? Like how does the officiating, because I feel like that's where it gets complicated.
Um, but I would say like maybe one on each, like for example, one woman in the defense, one in the midfield, and one in the attack, and then yeah, the goalie should be a man. I would say like it's I don't know. Yeah,
What do you
that's
think,
what I would say.
Alessandro? What is your
Yeah,
like?
no, I mean, when I came up with this take, I mean, I hadn't hashed out all the details, but I do realize that, the number of males and females on each team makes a big difference. I would agree with yours take that that could possibly work. It could also be I don't know. I mean, if we're doing 11 aside, 5 and 5, and then I would agree that probably it would be best for the goalkeepers on both sides to be males. Um, I don't know for the fouling. I don't know whether that you could do some sort of like tag team, like a what's that like tag football fouling, so that you can't. So, for example, the men can't like physically dispossess the woman with the ball. They can't slide tackle. They can't, go shoulder to shoulder, and that would only be between the same sex in terms of uh, like the physical confrontation. I get that would be quite hard to officiate. Um, or unless you remove, I don't know, this should be a bit more, you remove all slide tackles, that you can't slide tackle. Or which is kind of what the I don't know, you do like yeah, you either do that or
But why slide tackle? Like, why is slide tackle so? Is it not allowed in women's football?
no, it is, but I just make like the disparity of physical
Yeah,
strength.
I
For
get what
like
you
a
mean. You don't want a
3 to
fucking meter
12,
96 Van Dyke tackling
yeah.
like
Like
some
Bomati or something, yeah, like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I mean, I get that, but the thing is, then you'd have to change the rules. Like, it would be difficult to
Yeah,
implement, right? Could it be like a proper FIFA sanctioned competition? Probably not, right? Because if you don't allow slide tackles, then like there are certain things you need to. I mean, I'm not inherently against it. I think it would be interesting, especially because it would be. It would be a great way to promote women's football, personally,
yeah.
in my opinion. And also, I think it would be just a fun thing. Like, I'm not a big fan of tournaments like the Nations League. I think the Nations League, it doesn't add a whole lot of value, and it's more just to make money, at least my perspective on that. That's maybe another hot take in of itself. But, and the Club World Cup as well, like, it was fun to, but I wasn't like really excited about watching every game this summer. Like it just felt like a glorified friendly. I mean, I don't just say that because Jake's team won it, you know? So yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I just think it's hard to iron out all these rules behind it, you know?
No,
But
it would definitely be a trial and error for sure. But so I think I interrupted someone. Do you?
no, no,
Maybe.
all good. I just want to say like about the Nations League, just one quick thing. Because the Nations League, I think it's actually a good thing. If you compare it, it used to be just friendlies before, only friendlies. So there was like no like really competition. Like it was like nothing. Like it was friendly. Oh, okay, let's play with a C team because it's
Mm.
anyways, it's just a friendly. And now you make a nice competition out of it. I would say that's like one of the good things that FIFA did. But for example, for Club World Cup, I think if that would be a different system, the idea behind the Club World Cup is really good to just promote also the South American teams. As you can see, like how good they did actually, especially the Brazilian teams. So yeah, but just I don't know. I think it's an interesting topic as well.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I want to add is that also, if you look at other sports where these mixed gender events are held, like athletics or tennis, like in tennis, it makes sense, right? Because mixed doubles is like one man, one woman. Like, obviously, like maybe if you're, I don't really watch that much mixed doubles, but I assume that if you're like the man, maybe you like try and aim more for the woman. Like, I don't really know how it works in that sense, but I do know that in tennis, it's kind of a bit looked down on mixed doubles. Like in general, like players aren't that interested in playing it. They actually did. It's interesting because for the US Open this year in tennis, they made a mixed doubles tournament with like the top 30 players of the world. So like that was actually pretty cool because you got like really good players just pairing up. They weren't doubles specialists. And so that was kind of interesting. But I think with football, it's a very physical sport. It would be hard to regulate this stuff of like well, yeah, what if like Van Dyke just like goes straight ahead like a freight train and like runs into like a 5'2" like player from I don't know
Oh,
uh
yeah.
Italy or something like it's just difficult. It's like in boxing, right? They don't have mixed genders for a reason.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I agree. the physical confrontation part is the biggest part. But again, I mean, I think
Oh, yeah.
yeah, go Jake.
No, I was just gonna say on top of that, I mean, the physical thing is something we can all say confidently would be, some kind of concern or brought up. But apart from that, and this isn't even trying to sound like a white knight or anything, but wouldn't you be afraid of like the fact that it kind of if you see like these really good like women football players getting like if they get caught in a clip where they get like demolished by someone, like a Lamine Yamal or like a I don't know a Desiree Doué, someone who's like isn't that I don't know, I feel like it could do a lot of harm if that gets ends up on the internet and they're put in a clip where I feel like it kind of harms them since we're already trying to build up women's football. Anyway, it's just a counter argument.
Do you think about the clip from Saha, from Wilfried Saha,
No, I
when
wasn't
he,
thinking about that, but that's a good example actually.
yeah,
Just with the women's, yeah, exactly. Because things like that one, and I remember there was a story a couple years ago, or maybe even like a decade ago now, about like the Australian like U14 boys or something, like destroying the women's national team, and they were getting absolutely roasted for it online. I would just be afraid of something like, you
oh,
know,
it just happened last year with
Mm.
Switzerland, or like
yeah,
last year or this year even, like yeah.
Yeah, so-
Yeah, like the thing is, it could potentially backfire as well, right? Like, I mean, the thing is, it depends because I think like Putellas or like Bonmati, they would be decent in like against men as well. Like, they're really
yeah,
good,
really
right?
good.
But like, I think because women's football doesn't have as long a history, the disparity between like the best players and like the players that are like the level below is like way larger than in men's football.
Yeah, I
And so I
agree.
think it would be difficult to like Italy, for example, their national team is fine, their women's national team, but like it's nowhere near like the Spanish one, for example, right? Like I don't know, but it's an interesting proposition. What do you think, Ale?
Yeah.
yeah. No, I mean, no, I get Jake's point too about the yeah. I don't know. I think yeah. The thing is, you do fundamentally like I'm trying to picture in my head a scenario in which you take out all the physical the physical element of the game, but it's basically becomes another. I mean, it's yeah. It would also not be as visually appealing. Like yeah, it would be a lot slower to the gear. So to be honest, I don't know, but
What about a five-a-side maybe,
Yeah, I was
like
gonna
in the
mention
Kings
that.
League or
Futsal.
something?
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
futsal. That would be cool. I think that's like more like technical as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Or even
I
or
think
even like eight aside, like you can still play on a small pitch and you can do like 4-on-4. Like it could be interesting. But then again, it would be hard to make that a sanctioned FIFA tournament, right? Like it would be more like an exhibition and it's like a fun thing. Maybe you raise a bunch of money and you can donate that money to women's football organizations, grassroots level, or like charity, whatever, right?
yeah,
But I think if you were trying to build women's football as a sport, you'd probably donate it to like these are organizations that try to promote girls playing, right? But it would be hard for that to be like an official tournament. I would still be okay with it potentially, but then it would be hard to convince players to go. Like, why would Lamine Yamal go play if it's like not really mandatory and there's nothing like on the line in that sense, right? Like, I feel like there's a lot of matches in football already, right?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
if players can play less, they'd probably go for that. But I mean, this is a very hypothetical conversation, I guess.
It would also be tough, not just for the men's players, like convincing them to play. I think obviously we were saying, you need to sort out the rules about, fouls and physical contact, and it had to be very structured. But convincing the best women's players to kind of risk some kind of like potential injury or because even if it's just a regular collision, for like Putellas or someone like that, that could be, it could be really bad. So I would just be worried about that. But again, I think it would be a cool concept for sure. I would definitely watch that for one.
Yeah. I think that was kind of my it's just kind of unique. It's not really it's kind of unheard of in football. Like I've never really heard it being proposed as like an actual thing. So that was kind of my reasoning.
Yeah. I would definitely say, I mean, hopefully they work on something like that in the future. That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool because I think also, I mean, in football nowadays, there's so much like it's like men's football or women's football, like that they're like, they're competing against each other. Like it would be cool to like bring them together. It's the logistics of it are more complicated than in other sports like tennis or running, for example. But
Yeah.
it's definitely
I,
doable.
I would start. I would say maybe start with Kings League, Icon League, like Ballers League. So I think if we see it there, and then people talk about it, then like it will be a good promotion for those kind of like mixed tournaments. And yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. No, I think it would be good.
All right, so moving on to the next hot take, we've got Dior.
Okay, guys. My hot take is that Kevin De Bruyne is the best Premier League player ever. So I know it's definitely a hot take. I know like you think definitely about Cristiano Ronaldo, for example, maybe even like Wayne Rooney, maybe Ryan Giggs. I don't know, like those kind of names are also up there, even Alan Shearer. But I would say to be like this consistent for 10 years straight, the longevity, it's not only in real life football, also you see it on his FIFA card even. Like he always had the 91 rating like for 10 years straight, which I think the only player that had it like this way. And he won 6 Premier League titles, one Champions League, and a lot of different like domestic cups as well. And for me, the vision that he has, I think the only player who comes close to his vision and played in the Premier League is maybe Mesut Özil for me. Like his peak was insane, like his peak. But again, the longevity, and I know, for example, Pablo likes the longevity, so I hope I can get them on the boat. But yeah, let's see what you guys think.
Does anyone urgently want to respond, or can I
Yeah, go
respond?
think,
go for it,
I
Jake.
think Jake, you're pretty well positioned to comment on this.
Dude, it's tough because when I first saw this take from Dior, I was like, that's crazy. I'm gonna be honest. My gut feeling was like, that's crazy. Kevin De Bruyne, especially, I don't know, because he's so modern and he only left the league recently. The thing is, the problem with that is there's already a big argument about whether he's even the best midfielder in the Premier League. Then once you start putting him up against some of the attackers, like we can get into obviously, trophies, cultural impact, but for me, my first counter argument would be Thierry Henry was like the face of the league. I think he's a lot of players from that time period say he was the best player ever, like in terms of quality in the Premier League. And then the other one that comes to mind for me is Wayne Rooney. I mean, maybe also because he's English, but I don't know. What do you guys think, Pablo and Alessandro?
Honestly, if I am similar to you. Like when I first read this, I thought it was crazy, but then I kind of thought about it, and it's not the worst take because the thing is, if you just think about this purely the statistics, right? I'm not sure if he's now the record assist man, but he's like pretty
Yeah,
like
he
high
is.
up. Okay, so
He
he's the
is.
record assister of all time. He's played 9 seasons in Manchester City, and he won 6 Premier Leagues, right? It's a 60% Premier League win rate, which is pretty insane. Other than that, the thing is, I agree with you. When you think of Premier League best player ever, everyone thinks of Henry, in my opinion. Like that's the first name that comes
Yeah.
out just because he was like, this maverick early 2000s. Like also strikers get more love than other players. That's just the case because they're the ones scoring the goals, the ones getting all the glory. But the thing is, De Bruyne, he's not like he's not a flashy player. Like when he plays, yeah, but you don't notice him, right? Like he doesn't like he's not like a superstar off the pitch that's like, dating like famous women and like showing himself like out at parties. He kind of just is kind of seems like a quiet guy. Even there's that famous video of him saying, "Let me talk" in the documentary, right? But he just gets business, he gets down to business. And so I don't think I personally would put him first, but I don't think it's crazy. Like he's definitely in the conversation. And also I agree with what Jake said though. Like there is a debate as to whether he's the best midfielder or not. So like if he's not even the best midfielder, how can he be the best player? But I don't know, man. Like I think having thought about it, I think there's definitely an argument to be made for that. What do you think, Ale?
So I agree with your points, both Jake's and Pablo's, in terms of when I think of the best ever in the Premier League, I think of the Thierry Henry, the Ronaldo, the iconic names. I think there's always a bias to think that players in the past are better or can be considered to be the greatest of a certain league, but that's just because how our mind works, because you're always gonna uh, think you never really. It's easier always to say that the best are have played in the past rather than in the present. I think for De Bruyne specifically, I think the thing is, I don't think he had the outsized impact on the
Ooh,
league uh, as an individual player that maybe some of these other players had. Thierry,
Well,
uh,
to name one.
yeah,
My point being that he was well, he is excellent, but he operated within that Manchester City team too. Like he had world class players all
yeah.
around him. He had, arguably one of the best managers in the world in a time where City was like the best team, the most dominant team in the Premier League. And I think he was definitely a central part of it, but he wasn't. I don't think he, as an individual, like he probably one of the key players, but I think that one of the reasons why he was able to excel in that way was because of the environment he was put in. And I think a Thierry Henry or a Wayne Rooney or
ooh.
I don't know. I don't think they depended maybe on. This is my take. I could
Okay, okay,
be controversial, but
okay,
that's
okay. Let
kind of
me
why I was.
okay. Let me say first about the Henri case. Okay, about the Henri take. Um, I think you can, for me, like because you said like Kevin De Bruyne played in such a well team. To be honest, Henry played in a fucking awesome team as well. Like he had every good player like in his team. Like this team was insane. And also Arsene Wenger. For some people, he's the number one in tier one. And so I would say Arsene Wenger is even like a really, really good manager as well. But for me, the thing about De Bruyne is like uh Henry changed Arsenal. But for me, De Bruyne changes like how the Premier League just thinks about midfield creativity, and especially like the way he dictates the whole tempo of a game, which Henri can do as a left wing or striker. And just like I would say, for example, De Bruyne, he came as a classic 10. Then he shifted to the modern like 9. Then he shifted as well to a 8. Then also to a deep laying playmaker as a 6. So he played so many different positions, and the way Pep Guardiola just throw him in and just give him like different, like he just went to different periods with the team as well. And I think a really good example is also that like the way like Henri needs the service and De Bruyne gave the service and also creates like those opportunities. He was like, I think he was even like with every goal from City, for example, like every time when he plays, he was always involved in a goal. Like always somehow De Bruyne was involved. So I don't know, like yeah.
So I'll say this. As an attacking midfielder, I mean, yeah, unreal. I mean, most creative. Though also I did check just to be sure. He's second all time in assists in the Premier League. To be fair, the only person he's behind is Ryan Giggs, who played for fucking 20 years. So can't really hold that. I actually don't think you can hold that against Kevin De Bruyne. Ryan Giggs played for like so long. So
Okay,
uh,
yeah.
well, with that said, my thing with I'll make a case for each of these guys. My thing with Henri is that when he was playing in the 2000s, it was like very competitive in terms of who won. Like Arsenal won 2 league titles in the 2000s, Chelsea won 2, United won a bunch, but these were all like staggered, you know? And despite that, Thierry Henry was consistently by all the top players, they said like this is the best player in the league by far. He's like on a technical level, even just as a competitor. Apart from that, to make a case for Wayne Rooney, I don't even think it's necessarily just because he's British. I think for me, Wayne Rooney is the best English player ever. I mean, that's a personal opinion, which is kind of separate to this. But with that said, dude, Wayne Rooney is third all time in Premier League goals, and like I think fourth or fifth all time in Premier League assists, which is crazy. And I think I don't know, I don't want to just make it about stats, but my only thing with Kevin De Bruyne again, was he ever the face of the league? Yes, but he was kind of competing in this trifecta of like Hazard, Kevin De Bruyne, and Mohamed Salah, you know? Like the three of them were all who's the best player, whereas these other two guys were definitively at some point like the best player in the face of the league, if that makes sense.
I mean,
Or
I
is
agree, but like, I also think that it's because he's not like a very mediatic player. Like, he's just like does his business. He's like a quiet guy.
that's
Like
true.
Salah has like the backing from like Egypt and the whole Arab world, right?
That's true.
Hazard, I mean, Hazard is a more like he's a more likable guy. I mean, the thing is, De Bruyne is not the most likable player, not because he's a dick, but just because you just don't like he doesn't have like a bubbly personality, you know? And the thing is, also, Ali, sorry, but your point about like the teammates, like that was atrocious, man. Henri played in like the Invincibles team. He had Ashley Cole, he had Sol Campbell, he had
Vieira.
Robert Perez, Lumberg. Then Rooney and Ronaldo played on the same team. They played together. So you can't really I wouldn't say that you could definitely argue that Rooney's the best. I wouldn't argue that Ronaldo's the best Premier League player of all time, to be honest.
Well,
Because I think
yeah,
his best years were not in the Premier League. Like he was great in the Premier League. He
Exactly.
won the Ballon
but
d'Or there.
okay, the
But
only I have to jump in with a counter argument to that, only because Ronaldo, and I agree, his best years were in La Liga. With that said, dude, Ronaldo won the fucking Ballon d'Or while he was at United, and until Rodri, he was like the last Premier League.
I know, but the thing is, like, if we're doing like, let's do like an honest exercise, like all of us, like just discount everything he did after he left United. If
Yeah,
you just saw his
exactly.
career at United, would you be able to honestly say that he's the best player in the Premier League history? I don't think so. Like, if I'm like, because the thing is, you look at him at Real Madrid, where he scored like a goal over a goal a game, right? Like that was crazy. But like before that, I would definitely say he's like top five Premier League players of all
Easily.
time, top 10.
Yeah.
But like, I wouldn't say he's the best. Rooney, it's a different case, right? Rooney also played a lot in the Premier League. He had about, I would say about 13 good seasons in the Premier League. De Bruyne had like nine, of which he was injured like a couple. So I don't know. I mean, again, I don't think I put him first. I still think I prefer Henri as like a Premier League icon, but I don't think it's crazy to say De Bruyne. Like he's definitely like in that conversation.
Do you think do you guys think that like the fact that he never obviously he won a lot of team accolades, like City won a lot while he was there. Do you think the fact that he never won like a Ballon d'Or, for example, kind of hurts him? Because granted, he was competing at one point with, Ronaldo and Messi and everyone knows about that. But even the later years when those guys kind of like fell off a little bit or fell off, they were less, high performance. Do you think it hurts De Bruyne at all that he didn't win a like that he wasn't like a top three, like consistent Ballon d'Or ranking guy.
I mean, maybe, but it's like the best actor doesn't always win the Oscar, right? Like, we're not talking about like the most iconic player. We're talking about the best player. Like, if you think like Ralph Fiennes, for example, he's an amazing actor, right? But like, he's never won the Oscar because he's not promoted in the same way that like a Leonardo DiCaprio is. And I'm not saying that the Ballon d'Or is all about popularity, but popularity is a big aspect of Ballon d'Or rankings, right? And so. Like also coming from Belgium, like I agree with Belgium, his career was pretty poor. I think he underperformed quite a
Okay,
lot
yeah,
Yeah,
with
yeah,
them.
yeah, definitely. But
yeah.
yeah,
But
only
That's why
Premier League.
if we're
but
just
that's why
looking at the
Dior only
Premier
brought
League,
up Premier League. I mean, for Belgium, I think you could easily criticize his career.
and
He
the thing
was
is
Yeah,
that
yeah,
that like impacted his ability to win a Ballon d'Or, right? Like let's say in like
yeah,
2018, if Belgium wins that World Cup instead of France, like he probably wins the Ballon d'Or, like him or Hazard. Like it's one of the two in my opinion.
Hazard, yeah.
But like it's just his if we're talking about purely like Premier League, like 6 league titles in 10 years, like that's pretty nuts, man. Like if
yeah.
you think about
That's
it.
why. And
And
also,
he was
yeah,
instrumental in those.
yeah, and also like one more thing, it's like he won like the Premier League Player of the Season twice, and whoever did that before was Ronaldo and Henri. They both attackers. He's the only midfield player who ever achieved like those kind of performance, like, and also five times the PFA Team of the Year player. Like, it's like he is just, I don't know, like Kevin De Bruyne also because he came to City and people like Premier League fans always thinking about Bundesliga player, like, oh my God, Bundesliga player. He plays in the Farmers League. He comes now to the Premier League. He came to the Premier League, directly hit. Like directly was like a big impact for the team.
And
Yeah.
also,
So
the last thing I want to say on that is that he's not even physically that impressive. And I'm not saying that he's whatever, like he's good, right? But it's like Henry had that raw speed as well that like had help him like
Yeah.
torch the league, right? Rooney also was like a huge guy. Like when Rooney was 16, he looked like he was 30, right? Like he had that De Bruyne doesn't have the most physically imposing frame, but he was still sick in a very physical league.
but
I
to
think
be
I
to be
just
fair,
wanted to bring up another one of
yeah.
Jake's points that you made at the very beginning about comparing here. This is just for the sake of argument, for the sake of conversation. But so do you think he unequivocally, is better than the great midfielders of the Premier League? So I'm talking about Paul Scholes, Lampard, Gerrard. I mean, those are some pretty big names too. I mean,
I
I
think he
think.
is, yeah.
I I think it depends. Pablo and I, not to reference another video, but we talked about this a bit when we were ranking midfielders. It's hard because how do you even put him up against someone like a Stevie G, who, to be honest, was kind of hurt by the team around him. Like Stevie G was on like a very poor Liverpool team at one point. Yeah, I know they won like Champions League, but or how do you compare him to like a Roy Keane, who's the most, in my opinion, the most iconic captain the Premier League's ever seen? So that's part of the thing that I think hurts De Bruyne, but I don't know. For me, I would say he's now probably eclipsed them. I don't know what you guys think. It's hard.
Yeah, I think for me, no, to be honest, I'm a bit on the fence. Like I get I do realize that I also always tend to have a bias towards, overestimating, how good players in the past were. Maybe because, you didn't see them play week in, week out. So you obviously, if you don't see someone play consistently, your idea of them is going to be a lot more, romanticized or a lot more aggrandized than they actually could be, like. So you kind of get, if you do see, I mean, I've watched De Bruyne play many times, and it kind of, it loses that kind of novel element that you would have, or like that special element that you have of players that you've never seen play.
Mm.
Um,
That
but
I don't know, like for example, when the season when Haaland came to City, why Haaland scored so many goals because of the Kevin De Bruyne. Like without the Kevin De Bruyne, Haaland would never break this kind of goal record because De Bruyne is the perfect guy for Haaland. Even like right now at Napoli, when De Bruyne played, different game. Now he's injured, we start losing games. We start
For me,
like
yeah. For me,
the
it's interesting.
impact.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry. I was just gonna say it's interesting, Dior, because I actually think the Holland thing isn't the most helpful argument. I would say for me, what's more impressive for De Bruyne than the Holland thing is that like Holland is first of all like the greatest goal scorer we've seen
yeah,
easily in the last 10 years, arguably like ever. But for me, what's more impressive with De Bruyne is that he was feeding these guys like Sterling and Leroy Sané,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
like they played without an actual striker for like
yeah.
I think 2, 3 seasons, won like multiple of those, and he was still the main guy. Holland, he's gonna score 30 goals because he's Holland, you know? But I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyways,
he made Sterling look world class. I mean, come on, give
Yeah.
the man his respect. And he's a
and
Chelsea
Gabriel
Sure.
prop
Jesus.
as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Gabriel Jesus as well. Like, yeah, that is true. But I don't know, like De Bruyne, I think the way when you ask for example, when you ask Belgium players, like, oh, who's the best player? Some of them says De Bruyne, like as the first answer. Like he like the players we see him so highly in the national team as players see like Ronaldo, Messi in the national team, like because it's De Bruyne. Like everyone looks at De Bruyne, we know like okay, fuck, like that's De Bruyne. Like if he says something, you just do it. The same aura that like a Zidane has, but like definitely not like on the same level, but in a similar way,
Yeah, I agree.
I would say. Yeah.
I think it's interesting. I will admit I Googled this, but to be fair, Thierry Henry and Cristiano Ronaldo and Mohamed Salah have all also won the PFA Player of the Year twice, and
No,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
also
I just
that's
said
what
that.
Dior was saying, that he's the only
yeah, but dude,
non-attacker
and
who's won
also
it
apart, no, dude,
twice.
Nemanja Vidic has won it twice as well,
Oh
which is
wow.
I actually didn't know that Nemanja Vidic has won it twice, but anyways, that's a separate.
Yeah, so that actually takes away strength to the Rooney argument because he was also playing in that Rooney team. So if he was
Yeah,
so
Yeah.
but
good,
Nemanja Vidic, the Nemanja Vidic peak was crazy, to be fair. But anyways,
yeah. All right,
it's
yeah,
it's an interesting argument. I like it's not crazy. I don't agree, but it's not crazy, you know?
I'd move on to the next one, and I think Jake has a pretty incendiary hot take.
My hot take. Oh, you want me to give mine? All right. Sure. I'll say mine. It's a pivot away. It's much more of a broader one. Anyways, my hot take is that the only reason the US hasn't become a football superpower is cultural and not talent based. So I'll get into this and I'm like very happy to give my arguments why. But I could easily talk about the athletes that the United States produces, like in the fact that if you look at the Olympics, the US is an absolute dominant country across like all of the sporting events, pretty much. Um, pretty pretty convincing performances. Apart from that, for me, as someone who grew up most of my childhood in the US, I can honestly say I'm not going to get into this too much. I'm curious to hear your takes first. But the biggest problem in the US in terms of why football is held back is because it's not adopted and it's not accessible whatsoever. Like in order to play football, you need to pay like several $1,000s a year to like sign your kid up to an academy. It's like the complete reverse of Europe and South America, where if a kid's really good, they'll go out of their way to make sure he like joins the club team that he plays like U10, U12, U14. In the US, you have to come from like a good socioeconomic background to even break into like youth football, which is why a lot of the players now come from either really American players now come from either wealthy families or they're like related to former players like Timothy Weah and Giovanni Reyna, these guys. Anyways, I'll get into the rest of it later, but that's my take.
I just have to say something. I agree with your point on the athletes. Like the US definitely produces really good athletes. I mean, look at linebackers in NFL or like a lot of NBA players. Like their athleticism would definitely be useful in football. I vehemently disagree with your point that the US wins most Olympics because they have the best athletes. No, they win the most Olympics because they spend the most money. I mean, like why do you think like you think like I don't know, like Sudan can't produce like athletes that can compete at the Olympics. They can, but they don't have the budget to like
Okay.
train them up, right?
All
Like
right.
I think it's
Okay.
more a money issue.
That's fair. Then that's a bad example. Then I'll say, fine, I'll focus, even if I don't even talk about the issues with the youth system, the athletes that the US produces in team sports, if you look at like, and I hate NFL, by the way, like I can't stand it. But if you look at like these like 6'2", fucking like 100 kg, insanely fast, like NFL running backs, if those guys, I'm not saying that it translates directly because obviously, football is largely technical and the best players, outside of Cristiano Ronaldo, who's also a technical freak, the best players in history are like very technical. But a lot of these guys would be insane. Like if you were able to funnel some of these kids that go into basketball, go into American football, into football instead, I think it would have a huge impact. And I just think culturally it's just being held back.
No, no, true, true. But I would also say because I know like for some German players, when I went to the States for scholarship, they always say like the way the school system is there, like it's just focused on sports. Like you don't have it in Germany. You don't even have it in the academy of Dortmund or like Schalke, Bayern Munich, the way you guys are focused on sports because you can get like a scholarship from the university, so you can just study for free and also just focus on sport. I think that's make the biggest difference compared to Europe because Europe doesn't support like, oh yeah, you get a scholarship because you're just good at football. And I think that's like a really, really good thing about the States because we're really sport focused. But I don't know if like because I don't know if the USA should just focus on football as well because we have like so many different kind of sports which are like really really good like NBA for example or like even M MLB or like NFL. Like you have so many different kind of things. Like I don't know if the states are is like needed to have also football to have it up there. Like I don't know.
Yeah, economically as well. It's
I
yeah, I
I
get what you mean.
agree. And then I would like to hear what Ali thinks, but just to preface as well, I actually had a take that was quite similar. My take was originally that the US is way more likely to win a World Cup in the next 50 years than the Netherlands. Because the thing is, I do think that the US has the capital, like the human capital there. It's just whether they choose to prioritize that over sports that have like 100-year legacies, like the NFL. I mean, NFL Sundays are so ingrained into American sport, into American family life and like the Super Bowl. Like I just don't think that football can ever replace that, no matter how popular it becomes. But what do you think, Alessandro?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, if you look at it on from the other side, I mean, I think the say for example, that's the kind of I think if you put you can put the same you can have the same argument for why, basketball isn't as big in Europe because I mean, the human capital is there, the money is there,
Mm.
it's relatively accessible. But it's just never going to be as good as good as it is in America because people just aren't as inclined to play the sport. I mean, football's much bigger as a sport.
Mm.
Uh, and I think that kind of argument is even more valid than in the US because of you have all these other sports. So NFL, basketball, I mean, I know baseball isn't as big, but it's still, uh, yeah, and so yeah, I agree that yeah, it's much more of a cultural thing, and yeah, because obviously the capital's there, the money, like the human talent is there, the money is there, but it's just about what is prioritized, and also culturally, the US, despite it, not to get political here, but despite it, being part of the West, it is culturally a very kind of idiosyncratic, like it's very American, it's not uh, very much, American ways of life. Like it's very ingrained. I think it's hard to kind of disrupt that culture, especially when it comes to sport. But
It's It's
Yeah.
interesting, just specifically, sorry, on the topic of the basketball. It is interesting because right now, granted, this is
Yeah.
not related to football. Right now, three of the five best players in the NBA, maybe the top three best, are all Europeans, like being Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. And apart from that, I'd say four of the five, probably, what you say, Shea, are non-Americans. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting point you make, Ale, and it is that's why I was saying I think it's a cultural problem because I just think it's not accepted. Even growing up there, I was in like a very small minority of like kids and of like teens that were into football. Like I can count on one hand. Maybe he'll watch this podcast one day, but my friend Lucas Pyle, who's an Arsenal fan, he was like the only other diehard Premier League fan that I had when I was in like when I was 14, 15 there. But yeah,
No, no, I think it's fair. I mean, President Trump said that he expects the US to win the World Cup next summer, so we'll
that's
see.
not
We'll see about
happening.
that.
Uh,
But
But the problem is you got to be like there's a point between delusion and like
Yeah.
being realistic. Could the US
But
win it in the next 50 years? I think so. Like I don't think that's
yeah,
that
but yeah, but then
crazy.
you can also say to India or China, like why like India, China, we have so many people, like we have such a big population
That's
and
a good point.
we
Yeah.
we not even qualify for a World Cup. I think India is not even qualifying for a World Cup. For example, Japan, if you look on the other side, like football is growing there so quick right now. Like we're making so many new talents. And but for example, what I find interesting is that women's football in the
We're so
States
good.
are so good
We're
and so
so good.
big. But
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like why is women football so big and so
Well,
good? And
it's like the most popular women's sport in the
yeah,
US.
I
Like
think it's probably part of it is because the other leagues for women are relatively new. Like the WNBA started in like the mid 90s. So when women's football was starting, they didn't have other sports to compete as much,
yeah.
right? I don't think
oh,
there's a
okay.
women's like NFL. I don't know, to be honest. But the thing is, I just think it's more a case of why do you watch, and not to get like all, again, talking about this gender disparity, but why do I watch a basketball game? Because I want to see LeBron do like a 360 slam dunk, because I can't do that, right? But like I think the women's equivalent is maybe less popular, and so for them, football is like a very popular sport, right? Because women's football is still relatively very popular compared to women's basketball, for example. So maybe that could be a reason, but I don't really know, to be honest.
Yeah. I it's a good point. I just think it's held back, not women, sorry, men's, by also the fact that like the best, like the most talented, let's say, on like an athletic or technical level, kids are very much funneled into other sports. Like, granted, I come from a small town in like a tiny state where no one goes pro except for in ice hockey. So I didn't know. But for example, when I was playing growing up, our best center back was like by the time he played with us all throughout like what would you say like school and club throughout elementary school and middle school. Then the second we entered high school, his dad made him quit and join the American football team, and we were all like, "What the fuck?" Like we just lost. He was like by far the most physical, the most like the best at like controlling the ball, and just things like that happen, which I think is kind of a shame. I don't know. I think it's starting to change, especially with social media, but
No, I
But
agree.
I mean, compared to a few years, I mean, granted, I don't follow the MLS, never have, but like it's improved significantly, hasn't it? I mean, the quality, even the players coming out. I mean, granted, I guess a lot of that is also, ex European, big European players. I think Messi, Thierry Henry, David Villa, all the players who've gone over there.
Youngman's son.
I mean,
Yeah.
it has a bit. It's still not, but it's still not like it hasn't developed like that much. I would say like even like looking at the Club World Cup, right? Like the clubs weren't really competing. Well, it was only like Inter Miami, I think, and like maybe one or two other teams, but they weren't competing as much. But I mean, back to Jake's point about it being a cultural thing, I think it's also a financial decision for a lot of parents, right? Like
That's what I was saying.
that kid's dad, like if you're an NFL player, even if you're drafted like late into the first round, you don't have to be like the best of your class. You can still probably sign like a multi-million-dollar contract, right? Like the MLS, it's so hard to like make good money on that unless you're like really a world beater. And that's like when you go pro, like even at the college level, there's so many more scholarships for football, basketball, etc., than for soccer, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but I think the NFL, I think like the roster like always big, like 50, 70, because I listened once to a podcast to it. And I think the majority of players we don't earn that like multi-million-dollar deals. There's like only a small percentage of the team who like get like all the money. Most of them just have like normal contracts, like normal, like not that big money. But like it's crazy to see like the difference between players. Like you have one in the team who's earning who's like a $30 million deal, and the other guy has like a $200,000 deal. Like it's crazy. So I think
Yeah,
that's
it's kind
interesting.
of insane. No, that's a
I think
good point.
the average amount of years in like the NFL is something crazy like two.
Yeah,
It's super
yeah,
long.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. The
So
same for NBA or not? Like the NBA is
yeah,
also like pretty low.
I
Like
the
think it
they
NBA
might
is
be
have
a
also
bit
really
higher than
low.
two, but it's
It's
probably
a,
it's probably like
yeah,
five maximum.
yeah,
Like it's
exactly. Anyways, yeah. So it feels like people generally agree with my hot take. So maybe it wasn't too hot, but yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the talent doesn't hold it back. I think it's purely cultural. And also the first thing I talked about, I don't know if you guys knew that, but about the how you have to essentially come from like a family that can afford to
No,
pay.
I didn't.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
dude, because
yeah.
I joined a club when I was younger, and it was like expensive. I'm lucky that my family was able to afford it. Like the average kid can't. So then they all get funneled into something like basketball. Basketball, you can play street
Yeah.
ball, like a
Yeah.
$15 basketball, you know. But yeah,
But do
yeah,
you also have salary caps in the MLS, like in
yeah,
the
they
NBA?
they
do.
do have
They have
salary
salary
caps.
Okay,
cap.
that's what I
Yeah.
like this kind of system. Imagine like this system, you put it on PSG.
Well,
Like,
that may or not
Such
have
a stray.
that may or may not have been a hot take of someone else, but that we want
Yeah.
to get into the next time. But
Yeah.
okay,
yeah,
okay.
Though I will say one of the big problems, this is slightly, even though the salary cap is really good in the MLS, one of the big problems is they try to do this like draft system. I don't know if you guys have ever like read about it, but the reason it doesn't work, in my opinion, is like that works for like the NFL, the NBA, the MLB because like university sports are so tied to professional sports and like, but any kid you're like drafting from, let's say like the University of Oklahoma, let's say some fucking like 22-year-old who's like good at football gets drafted to, I don't know, the Seattle Sounders, he's gonna be like way worse than like a 25-year-old free agent signed from like the Mexican league or from like a European league. So I don't know. I think it's all the best players leave to Europe anyways.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
They don't stay to be in a draft for the MLS.
all right. I guess that let's move on to the last hot take then, which is mine. And my hot take is that Greece winning the 2004 Euros is as much of an upset as Leicester City winning the Premier League in 2016. So the reason why I believe that is because I think obviously like Leicester City, the biggest story ever in sports, 5,000 to 1 odds. And like the arguments for Leicester City is that a 38 game season is harder than like a knockout tournament where you can just get hot. That being said, if you look at Greece's path to victory in 2004, it was actually insane. Like in the group, they had Portugal and I believe Spain as well. And they knocked out Spain. It might not be Spain, it might have been another team, but I think it was Spain. In the quarterfinals, they knocked out France, which had just come off a disappointing World Cup, but sure, but before that had done like the World Cup Euros back to back. And had players like Zidane, still like Vieira, like amazing players. Semi-final, they played Czech Republic, which you could say like, sure, yeah, like they're probably kind of shit, but like they had the top goal scorer in that tournament, Milan Baros, and like it was probably the best Czech Republic team ever. Like they had Petr Cech, he was coming up, and they had like other really good players. And then in the final, they beat Portugal again, and Portugal was the host. Portugal had like a young Ronaldo. That Portugal team, in my opinion, was the best Portugal team of all time. They had players like Carvalho in goal. They had, I think, Vitor Bahia, Nuno Gomes in attack. They had like crazy like midfielders as well,
Luis
like good
Figo
defenders.
too.
Figo,
Ricardo
I think he
Carvalho.
was still there. Yes, I think
Deco.
Figo, Deco,
Deco was
exactly.
good.
So like they
Yeah.
had a pretty stacked team, and Greece beat them. And the thing is like none of you guys can name probably even like one or two players in that Greece national team, right? But and they had a coach, like their coach was a German coach, Otto Rehagel. No one's ever heard of him, right? So like I just think it was
Know
like
him.
he is but yeah. So yeah, based on these points, I think that it's as impressive as Leicester winning the Premier League. I don't think it's more impressive because Leicester's obviously it's a great story, but I think there's definitely a strong case to be made.
Yeah. No, right off the bat, I'm gonna say I think Leicester's path to winning that Premier League, all of the factors aligning, everything that happened, like 38 games. I know you already raised this point, but I don't know. It's just so much more impressive, and I don't think the two can be held at the same level at all. Um, yeah, from literally being, projected to be one of the teams that was going to get relegated to winning arguably the most competitive league in the world, or at least in Europe. I mean, yeah, I think there's not much. Yeah, I think that for me it's quite an open and shut case, but I don't know what the others think.
I agree with Alessandro. I think this might be the hottest take we've had, just because the thing with the Leicester thing that makes it so insane, apart from the fact that it was over the course of an entire Premier League season and like everyone had them going down, dude, I think their entire squad was valued at like the start of the first from like the day before the first game. I think their entire squad was valued at like 60 million pounds or something like that. It was like the equivalent of like one Raheem Sterling, you know? So to be able to go and achieve the achievement they did. I mean, yeah, we've spoken about this. We've spoken about this a lot. I mean, it's the ultimate underdog story. But apart from that, the criticism I'll have of Greece is that, firstly, you make a very good point about the players. I couldn't name a single player on that squad. Full transparency. I don't know a single Greek player that played at that 2004 um, Euros. With that said, dude, their results were like 1-0, like grind it out, fucking like hose it down football, you know, which is in your when you're in like a 7 game tournament, that's far more feasible, I think, than over the course of like a 38 game season. I don't know. Like it's crazier things have been done, you know, like Denmark won in 1992. Granted, that Denmark squad, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I think they're probably better than that Greece squad, but you know, they hadn't even
Uh,
qualified at first. But
Yeah, they
yeah,
had like Schmeichel was there, so he was pretty good.
Czech
and
Republic also
Laudrup,
went on a
Laudrup, I
crazy
guess.
Euro run as well, right?
Czech,
So
Czech Republic
yeah, like in the at some point in the 90s or
in the
something like
90s. Yeah,
that.
but they made the final with like Pavel Nedved and like Karel Poborský. Like that was like a sick team. It's not like they were just like
Yeah,
some
but
scrubs, you know?
still,
Like
that wasn't Nedved at
Greece
his
were a
peak
bunch.
though.
Yeah, Nedved
Nedved
was
peaked
there
way
already.
up. No, but he peaked way after that. He peaked
Yeah, but he
like
was like
six,
25.
seven
Like he was
years
still
later.
good. Anyway, I'll let Dior step in, and then I
Yeah.
have a few things I want to say.
Yeah. For example, I think that's also good, like a good description about Jamie Vardy. Like he drank a Red Bull before a game. He was a construction, like no, he was a factory worker before, and then he just randomly spawned in the Premier League and destroyed the Premier League, and no one thought about it. Like no one thought, like, okay, yeah, this guy coming from the third, from the fourth, third, and then second, and then first division will score bangers. And I think I don't know, just like the chemistry of the team and also the longevity, like the 38 games in the span of 38 games, and that didn't happen in the last 10 years again. Like I think no team was like, oh yeah, this team won, and everyone was just wondering. Maybe like a Bayern Leverkusen, but they had a great team, so that they won the league after Bayern with 10 years of winning the league. I don't know. I think this is such a big achievement. But to be fair, like it's definitely a great call, like a great hot take, because the Greece team, like as you said, like no one can just name one player even. Like
Yeah,
maybe, yeah. The only player that I know is like Socrates and Manolas, and that was not even
yeah.
the time period, like
Exactly.
that's
No,
it.
so you guys bring up valid points. Now, I'm gonna say something that this is also a hot take within itself. Leicester's league winning title was like objectively the worst Premier League season ever. Like Leicester won the title with like 81 points. Like that would get you like third place in most other seasons. So I'm not saying that that
True, but
doesn't
that's
diminish from
like
their
But that
achievement,
that's such a
but it just
nothing
but
burger.
they also won the league because the other teams just kind of like threw it away, right? Like that's like everyone jokes about Arsenal like finishing third in no, Tottenham finishing third in a two-horse race, right? Like I'm not, and also the thing is that the way that my hot take is phrased, I think it's as impressive a thing because what you guys were saying about like yeah, Vardy drinking like 5 cans of Red Bull or like players like Mars and Conte, like they didn't just have that one season and then disappear. Like they were like really good players. They just hadn't been unearthed yet, right? And so like they kind of came onto the scene at that year. And I agree that everything came together and it's kind of a historical moment, but they went on to achieve great things. I mean, Conte took the league title with him to Chelsea, right? Jamie Vardy scored about 120 league goals in his career in the Premier League. Mahrez won like 3 or 4 Premier Leagues with Man City as well. So like they were like really good players that just happened to blossom at the right time. Like Greece, I just looked this up. In Euro 2000, Greece didn't qualify. And Euro 2008, Greece went out in the group stage, losing all 3 games, right? So like 2004 was just the moment where like it all came together. If you did like a pre-tournament ranking of that 2004 Euros, Greece would have probably been either 15th or 16th out of 16 teams. Like
Dude,
they were
but
not good, and they just
can
won
you
the
also,
Euros.
dude, you can make the argument about the Premier League being weak in that season. That's fair. But dude, can't you also like on the flip side, these are powerhouse, granted. Germany, Dior will be able to speak to better than I will. But France, Italy, Germany, none of them made even like the quarterfinals of
Yeah.
that Euro.
No,
Like
France
the
made the
superpower.
quarters.
Yeah,
They
you're right.
lost
We
against
lost to,
Greece.
you're right, actually. We lost to Greece 1-0. But Italy, yeah, no, that's a good point. We lost, you're right. We lost 1-0 to Greece. I do remember that. But France made it, but Italy didn't make it right after having the most insane squad in 2002 and then obviously winning the World Cup in 2006. Germany didn't make it. Germany got like
They
Germany
got
might have even got
grouped.
they got grouped, yeah. Um I don't know. I just feel like 7 games, bro, like it's extremely impressive. I think it's maybe the most impressive international tournament performance for like an underdog team. But the comparison with like over the course of something that should have been like statistically impossible, like Greece winning it is like a Hollywood underdog story, like the fucking Mighty Ducks like come from behind. Leicester winning it is like rolling a roulette multiple times in a row and hitting
Yeah.
like the same number with your bet multiple times. Like I don't know. That's the way.
Especially with that money. Especially with that money that Leicester had. Like Leicester had a squad, as you said, like 60 million. And then they played versus Manchester City, Manchester United, like such a teams with so much money in a league like this, and then coming with an underdog team. But to be fair, I think I like Pablo's hot take because for me, his biggest argument pro is just like I don't know any player of it, and I think
Yeah.
and that's actually insane. Like I don't like, for example, everyone you like some kind of names from the lesser squad, like by maiden name during the season. But like now I can't even think about like one name in the Greece squad, but I can still think about the Drinkwater, for example,
Yeah, or like
and the Leicester
Okazaki,
squad.
you
Dude,
know?
Yeah, like
Okazaki
yeah, like, and I
Yeah.
don't know, like it was both are
was Morgan.
was yeah, but both things are so magical. Like I don't know, like it's both are insane,
Yeah,
insane
that's why for me
achievements.
it's like I said they're like on the same level. Like I didn't say the Greece thing was more impressive, even though I've kind of been arguing
Yeah.
that way for some reason. But like for me,
No, I get you. I get you. Like I think that's a really, really hot take, but I like this hot take probably the most
Yeah, no,
among the
I
hot take.
I agree. It's definitely the one that's most borderline same. But yeah, no, I think, but no, it is crazy that none of the Greece players at all, no, they completely disappeared and like,
Yeah.
like the guy that scored in the final, he's called Angelos Charisteas. I have no idea where he played. I think he played for Hertha Berlin for a while, but like he's not a household name. The captain was called Zagorakis. Again, no idea who he is, right? Like they were just. And I agree with Jake, like your point about like Italy not making it out. Italy didn't make it out of the group with 5 points, which is kind of crazy. I mean, there's that whole thing of like, Sweden and Denmark potentially colluding to send us out because like they could draw and like both go through. But I think yeah, it's a bit like with Leicester, like both teams benefited from the favorites kind of bottling it, right? Like in the season where Leicester won, like Man City was a clear favorite at the beginning of the season and they had a really poor season. Arsenal also had a classic Wenger bottle job, as I like to say. But in general, I would say they're both quite impressive. So I
But
think,
it also gives me like some kind of Iceland vibes, like when Iceland went like through the group stage and everything. And I think
Crazy.
Iceland will be a good comparison to like Iceland will be a good comparison to it. I think like if Iceland would have won the Euros, like it
no, if
would be like
Iceland would have
oh
won the Euros, I think that would have been significantly more impressive than Leicester winning the Premier League because Iceland has a population that's like smaller than
300K.
Leicester's population, and like you can only
Okay.
choose those players. But the thing is, I was thinking of putting Iceland potentially in this hot take, but the thing is, it wouldn't have been as powerful because like you could probably name like 3 Iceland players right on that squad, but like the Greece thing
Well,
is just complete like zero, you know?
Yeah, the main one of which we're not supposed to name
Yeah,
anyway.
he's
yeah.
in trouble now. But I mean, it was cool. The Iceland goalie was like a part-time dentist, and they probably all like knew each
Yeah.
other and
And
had,
then everyone was like this
yeah.
was like
That
clapping
was
your
so cool.
hands.
The clapping
Yeah.
was so
And
Oh
they
cool.
my
beat they
God.
beat England. Like that was pretty crazy as well, right?
Yeah, that was a
So
crazy upset.
Morocco, what was it? When did Morocco get to the semi-finals? So that was in
It was
2022.
last, yeah, 2022.
The
Oh,
thing is that that's impressive, but like I
They
don't
had
think it's
good
that
they had
impressive.
good players though.
yeah, they did, they
First
did.
of all, they have
Right.
great players, but second of all, like Africa had been knocking on the door of a semifinal for a while. Like in 2010, Ghana like was a penalty away in the 121st minute from like making a semifinal. So I mean, I don't agree with like Pelé in the 90s said that Africa would win like a World Cup in the next like 10 years. I mean, that clearly didn't happen, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if an African team wins the World Cup in the next 20 years or 30 years.
It could happen. The main thing holding them, granted, this is completely off topic, but the main thing holding them back is the FAs. The FAs, like some of the African country FAs, are really badly
Yeah, they're so corrupt. Like the
organized.
like Samuel
Really,
Eto'o has been like involved with the Cameroonian one, and it's not been
yeah.
great.
Anyways, it was a good take, Pablo. It's interesting. Also,
Yeah,
I didn't know this, but while I was Googling the players, dude, I didn't realize I forgot that it was only 6 games back then, not seven.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And they did win a lot of games 1-0, right? Which you could say like if you play that game like 20 times, like Greece probably wins like two of those 20 times. But that makes it extra special as well. And also for me, the fact that they beat the hosts twice, like that's pretty cool. And the
yeah.
hosts is like Portugal with like a
yeah,
young Ronaldo. Like Ronaldo was in tears after that final. I mean, not,
Yeah.
that was a
pretty-
really young Ronaldo.
he was like
That's
19, yeah.
yeah, he was a teen.
That was also
Yeah.
the tournament where Wayne Rooney really came onto the map.
Yeah,
He
they got
scored
in a
like four
fight, didn't they?
goals.
The two of
well,
them.
yeah,
Was it
that was
was it?
where Ronaldo did the wink.
No,
No,
no, that was in 2006
You're
in
right. That
the
was
World
because they
Cup. But
were
like,
already teammates, yeah, as
yeah,
well.
in
Yeah.
2004, I think Rooney scored like four goals, including one against France in the group stage, and then he got injured though in like the quarterfinals, I think, and against Portugal, and they lost. So yeah.
It's a good player.
Yeah, I remember I read Rooney's autobiography. He made an autobiography when he was 21, which I think is kind of egregious. I think that's too young to make an autobiography.
He made it at his peak.
Yeah. But anyway, I think these are some good hot takes. Yeah. We have some more for a part two. So we'll
Some spicy
definitely
ones.
come back with those, but I think for now, yeah, like thanks for watching this. I think we had some really nice discussions, some spicy discussions as well, which is always what we're looking for, some healthy amounts of disagreement. But yeah, thanks for watching. I mean, Alessandro, Dior, Jake, are there any parting words?
No, I would just say thank you, Alessandro and Dior, for joining. And if you guys, the viewers, like this episode, please drop a like, leave your comments, say who you think had the most egregious take, the most realistic one, and we'll definitely be making a part two of this.
Yeah, we'll have a part two with hopefully Alessandro and Dior will join us for that as well. It'll be a lot of
Definitely.
fun.
for
And
sure.
I think there's still some hot takes that need to be discussed. So, yeah,
Especially from Julian. Yeah.
exactly. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you guys.